Hello folks, and welcome to a video in which we're going to put in risers into these holes and get them moving along with the cams. In the last video, you got this thing working and the cams all spinning with the crankshaft. When we put the crankshaft into its reset position, each one of these cams should have its lowest possible distance between the shaft and the top of the cam facing upward. And the snail cam, if you have that in there, is tilted a little bit so that this surface right here is directly below the hole. If you didn't have that, then you need to go back and watch the last video and redo some things. All right, here we go. We're going to start by making sure that we're in the reset position for the crank. So if your crank isn't straight, we need to do that, actually do it anyway to make sure it is straight. Let's start by dragging this revolute mate that you did for the crank all the way up to the top so we can always find it, and let's rename that as crank so we know what we're doing, because we're going to use that a lot to rotate things. And finally, let's go and reset that. If a little pink bar shows up at the top, that just means it's already in the reset position. All right, so we're going to make the risers for this, and we're going to get them flush with the top so we can do some measuring with it. Let's start a new part studio, and let's call that part studio tab risers. And we're going to sketch on the top view and make 5.25 circles that we're going to use for the risers. Sketching on the top this time. That's important because they won't be oriented the right way if we don't. P turns off planes, N brings us perpendicular, and we're just going to make 5.25 circles in a row. Doesn't even matter where they are. So you can either dimension them each time, or you can use the equal tool. I think I'll use the equal tool and just make them all equal to each other. You do you. And I'm going to make them all equal so they're all 0.25. Easy enough. All right, so we've got that ready to go. I can finish the sketch because we're going to extrude them. So here's going to be the process. Go ahead and just watch this, please. Don't try and do it in real time with me. Just watch the process, and then you can do them all on your own. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to get a distance between the cam and the top of the box. So you're going to use your measure tool. It's important that you click on the surface that is that the riser is going to hit. It'll kind of turn orange, and then we're going to hit the top of the box. Okay, and that's going to give us a distance over here, a minimum distance. We want to copy that distance. So if you click on it, it'll turn blue, and then we can right click on it and hit copy. So again, you click on the number to get it blue and then copy it. Now we're going to go back to the risers, okay, and we're going to extrude that first one and copy in that value. So copy it in, hit check, and we've got that first riser. Now, please, for each one, we're going to rename them. And again, you're just watching here. Don't try and go along with me. The first one is the circle. So I'm just going to call the extrude for the circle, and then we're going to rename the part as circle riser. Okay, easy enough, right? You don't need to try and do this in real time. Watch again now as we go to the next one. Okay, and I'm going to measure again from the top to the surface that it's going to sit on. Now I know already that the polygon is going to be a problem, but I want you to see what happens, and we're going to fix it. So again, we click that, we copy it, we come back to where the risers are. I turned back on the sketch. We're gonna extrude that dude. Okay, to the value that we copied. Control V works. Okay, and then rename. Whoa, did I just do a surface? I did not mean to do that. Let's delete that. I like to keep mistakes that I make in here because sometimes I do weird things too. Why am I? Oh, I somehow clicked surface. I don't want a surface. I didn't mean to do that. And again, we're going to rename that as polygon, and this is polygon riser. So when we're doing this, again, make sure you're clicking on the surface. When you get to the snail, if you have the snail, it's this surface right here that you're going to click on that's directly below. And we're going to get all of our risers. So I'm going to pause this, and you're going to pause and get all those risers made. All right, so you should have your either 4 if you didn't make the snail cam or 5 if you did risers named, please. And now we are going to go ahead and turn off that sketch. We don't need it anymore, but the place where there was the sketch, we're going to fillet those ends to round them over. So go ahead and go to fillet. If you click on those guys, now it might turn red for you. That's fine. Don't worry about it. That just means that you've got too big of a number to be able to do. And we're going to make that radius 0.125. And that's going to round that 0.25 surface over and make a little kind of bulb on the end. Cool. All right, so we've got our risers. We've got them rounded over. Now, again, just watch the process now and don't try and keep up in real time. Just watch the process. I'm going to insert those risers all at once. Kind of put them back here. Cool. Now, the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and insert each one of these with a cylindrical mate because they can spin and they can go up and down. So we're going to use a cylindrical mate. I usually choose the middle of it. Okay. And then that guy, you might have to flip it if you did the right thing. And we're going to keep doing cylindrical mates until they are all in there. Not sure why the cylindrical mate isn't kept open. Usually with other mates, it keeps when the fasten mate's open, it just keeps another one on there. All right, we've got all our cylindrical mates now in there. Okay, now I'm going to show you, I'm going to purposely show you a problem with the polygon one first. So what we're going to do is we're going to make these little ends tangent to the surface of the cam, and that way it will rise up and down. But we're going to have a problem with the polygon cam. I'm going to start with that one. So just watch. You don't even need to do this yet. We're going to hit a tangent mate, and we're going to choose that bulby surface right there. And notice it shows that I chose that. And then this surface right here. Now, usually you have to flip the primary axis to get the bottom of the bulb on there. Okay. Now, watch what happens when I go to spin this around. It shoots off on the top and bottom. That's because it is staying tangent to that surface, but that surface keeps going on and on and on forever. So that flat surface. So that's why that weirdness is happening there. So let's talk about how to solve that problem. Go down here to the very bottom of your browser. Let's delete that tangent constraint. And we need to get it so that this is one surface and not 6 separate surfaces. Here's how to do that. Go into your cams, and we're just going to fillet the sharp edges of that polygon cam just to like 0.1. So we're going to choose all of those edges of the polygon cam. We're just going to fillet them and round them over a little bit so that, and 0.1 will work just fine. And round them over. Now let's go back to our automata. Notice that it updates in there. I'm going to go back to my crank and reset it. It's important that you have it reset every time you go to do one of these tangent constraints. And let's try that again. So we're going to do tangent. We're going to click on that bulb, click on the surface that it's going to hit directly below it. Okay, say okay. And when I hit the crank, now it's moving with that surface because it considers that edge of the polygon as one big surface instead of 6 separate ones. All right, I'm going to reset the crank. And then we're going to go along and do that with each one. Again, with the snail cam, if you have it, when you click, it's going to hit that surface down there. So we're going to go through and apply tangent constraints to each one of those risers. And again, make sure that you're choosing the surface and not an edge. And make sure you're choosing the bulb end of that when we put those all together. So I will pause this video while you do that. And when you've got the tangent constraints complete, you should be able to crank it and have all of them moving except for the circle cam, because the circle cam doesn't actually change its displacement. So that's why it's not staying. It's riding on that surface. All right, cool. Looks good. Okay, last thing we're going to do is we're going to put the ruler on here so we can get some measurements. So let's go ahead and insert, find the ruler. I'm going to put that in here. Okay, and we're going to attach that up to the top. So we're going to do a fastened mate. We're going to find the corner of the ruler right there, and we're going to attach that to the middle top of the box. Okay, and so it should look like this. Cool. All right. Now we can see how much those are going to be rising in a next activity. So last thing is let's go ahead and go to our crank. And we're going to animate. Go ahead and you can go from 0 to, like, I usually do 10,000 degrees. That way it'll go for a while, and set it to loop. And if you want it to move faster, reduce the number of steps. So don't have it go too fast that we can't see it. So if you reduce the number of steps from, say, 300 to 200, whoa. Oh, I forgot I'm going 10,000. So if I'm going 10,000 times, I got to go like maybe 1,000 steps. So the steps are the number of increments it takes to get to your end value, basically. All right, so go ahead and get this going and show it off to your teacher to get checked off. And next one, we will do some analysis of how these things are moving. Good job. We will see you on the next time.